Hi, everyone. It is December, but welcome to our November COP call. I hope everyone got some time to relax and recharge over the long weekend and that you're all having a good week so far. All right, let's see. I think we're getting good folks, just a couple seconds to connect to audio here. As always, feel free to come on camera so we can connect and see each other. Olivia. You okay, Mary? Okay. All right, everyone, let's go over our agenda. So we're just going to start off looking quickly at our PDSA review run chart, and then we're going to go into topic breakouts to talk a little bit more about our upcoming December one-on-one calls, and then our 2 calls with the local teams in January. Bryn is here to share our next steps around parent leadership after all of your feedback last month. And then similar to last month, we'll do some peer sharing around some themes in your coaching logs. How's the sound? And does anyone else have anything else they want to add? All right. Here are our run charts on the percentage of teams who receive a review on their PDSA cycles, and you guys continue to provide timely reviews to the teams. So thank you for all of your work on that. One thing I did notice is that, so the yellow dots are the number of teams who submit PDSA cycles, and it looks like we might be seeing a bit of decline in the number of teams, and this might just be something to keep your eye on. I know many of you have noted on your coaching logs all of the competing priorities and demands that the LAs are facing, and that this is delaying some of their submissions. So just, maybe during our peer sharing session, you guys can share any strategies for how you guys are really supporting teams and continuing keeping up with their coin work. And actually, in that kind of same vein, we have been thinking about ways that we can support teams and everything that they have going on. So, can we be taking a short amount of time on each of our calls to engage in some mindfulness activities, not just to, support teams to be present and grounded in the moment and in the calls, but really also to, model practices they can use outside of the coin work. So, we did some short breathing exercises on our last call, but, none of us are kind of experts in this. So we'd love to lift up either, your awardee teams or any local teams in running any of these exercises as well. So if you have any activities that you found particularly helpful or that you've done recently, or any of the teams have really integrated into their work, just let me know via the chat and we can reach out to them to see if they're interested in leading any of these, again, really short grounding moments on our calls. All right, any questions before we dive into the topic breakouts? All right, Olivia, I believe you are just going to send us to our room. So you should see a pop-up and you can go ahead and join the call. We all back? Just scrolling through the list here. I think all the teams are back. Okay. All right, so our next part of the call, as I mentioned, Bryn is here to give an update on our plans for the December Action Period call. So Bryn, I'll turn it over to you.
So good. Last month we had a chance to talk, and we really We listened to both the evaluations and the feedback you gave us last month, and we really heard that your teams want to come together and focus on the parent leadership work. So next Thursday on our December 9th call, this is going to be a key focus of our content learning. And know that we looked and pulled the themes from what you had told us, which was really how do we begin to engage the parents in our improvement work? So sort of that dimension of recruitment, but also equally important, really want to see an illustration of how do we partner with parents? What does that look like? What would that feel like? What would we experience if we were in the partnering with the parents in our CQI work? So moving beyond just gathering their feedback into what does it mean to begin to integrate them into our team? So it's really our intent to next month or next week, it's going to be what we want to do is support you and all your teams to move forward in this work, but really from that place of supporting teams to feel that they have the confidence and competence or knowledge so that they can move from the frame of improving services for families to improving services with families as partners. That's going to be really the goal, is to support the teams to really feel like they have what they need to move to that working with families to improve services. So if we can move to the next slide, Tricia. Yeah. So we're going to approach our objectives in a couple of ways. But one of the ways we're going to work with your teams may or may not have had a chance to really work with the toolkit, the Parent Leadership Toolkit from EDC and COIN. And so we're going to take some time to really go through pieces of the toolkit that support teams to see where is this resource, where is it located, how can we really use it to begin to see how we can test some beginning strategies. This is going to be particularly relevant to recruitment, but there's also ways to build from some of the resources and tools that are in that toolkit to really move forward in a testing phase. So we're going to really highlight some of those tips and really reorient all of us to what are some of those things that will really support us if we're not sure where we want to get started. We're obviously going to have a chance to also learn from some teams on the way they approach that work. So you'll see that, you know, most of our teams, and we learned this from both the evaluations and you all last month, most of the teams are ready to begin thinking about ideas of recruitment. So this stage 3, if you will, on this continuum. And we'll review that a bit, as well as making that movement from going from feedback to really engaging and partnering with parents. And what does that look like in our testing? So that's going to be a key focus and objective of how we'll link and really support teams to know where those resources are in that toolkit that they can turn to see, possibly stimulate some ideas of what might support them in their work. So we'll go to the next slide, and I'm just giving you an overview of how we intend to approach this meeting. We're going to really open with an idea that we want your teams to have a chance to reflect so that they can tell and we can see from all of us, what are the wonderings, what are the worries teams are having around this parent leadership work, so that we can all kind of see where are we at as a collective. And we're going to have a chance to really learn from those current concerns. I already, on the last slide, really overviewed what's here on the left, which is review strategies that are available to test that are directly in that toolkit. But one of our large ways that we're going to approach this meeting is to working on these themes that you all identified, the recruitment and partnering with parents. You probably recall back in June, we had that parent panel. So we're going to just show a little clip of that that's going to get at, don't be afraid to ask. Like, let the families tell you they don't have capacity. And that, if you recall from June, the parent leaders were really clear about just ask us. Let us decide what we have the capacity to say yes to and no to. We're going to have a really rich opportunity there is an LIA out of Missouri that has had some interesting approaches and strategies and opportunities to some really successful working with parents in their LIA, how they began developing that, how they did that recruiting and invitation, what are some of the things they've learned from that, how is that informing their work, and they're actually going to probably share with us and touch on with so the LIAs can hear what are some of the challenges in COVID, because that has actually impacted them, but have a chance to really illustrate some of those rich learnings of how did an LIA really approach this work, and how is it really feeding successfully into their QI work. And then we'll move into an interview and really some question and answers from at EDC and COIN, we have a parent leadership faculty member by the name of Monica Gaines. And while Monica is actually in the role of a parent leadership coach currently, she has the history and the background of when her child was in home visiting. She was a member and as a parent leader on a CQI team. So she's going to really share with us some of what welcomed her into that opportunity initially, why she said yes, what worked really well to engage her as being a team member, and what she would offer us as insights and thoughts about what we would want to see differently. So after some of those pieces, we're going to then really pause and give the teams a chance to ask questions from any of our speakers of what it is they would want to learn more about. And so we will have a chance for them to really talk with and ask questions to these experts and speakers themselves. So with that, if we move to the next slide, I'm just giving you an overview of that's what our intent is next week. And so we really want to hear from you all, because you are the ones who gave us this feedback about how we began designing things. Do you have feedback for us before we get to next week? Do you have questions based on just that overview of what we're hoping to accomplish? Do you feel it's on track?
Brendan, this is Jackie. It sounds really interesting and very helpful.
Great. Are there any others? Is this really what you think is going to support your teams in this work and what they are looking to hope to learn more about?
This is Brooke in South Dakota. I think it'll be helpful, but I don't know that we've had anything that wasn't helpful so far. So it's all been very helpful.
Thanks, Brooke. Thanks, Jackie.
Well put, well put.
Then I think we are probably ready to move to the next item. If something comes up, feel free to put it in the chat. If you have your own kind of reflection and say, oh, I wanted to add this into the mix as they think about next week, that would be great. So I will turn it back to you, Tricia, I believe.
Great, thanks, Bryn. All right, so our last part of the call will be focused on giving you guys opportunities to talk to one another. As we shared last time, we're seeing some themes around requests for either additional TA or challenges that you guys are facing in supporting your teams. And we went into breakouts last time around PDSA support, real-time use of data, and staff capacity and will. And you guys had really rich conversations around these topics. So we're actually going to do the same thing today, but kind of just shuffle folks to different topics. These themes really continue to be consistent this month in your coaching log. So thought we could all benefit from talking through another topic. So you can see the breakouts here. I think just one snafu is Carrie and Benjamin. You will not have anyone in your group if we keep these as is. So you just let us know if you want to go to PDSA support or staff capacity, and Will and Olivia will get you guys to the right spot. Any questions though before we go into the breakouts? We are going to end in the breakout, so I'll just put a plug in to please complete the evaluation and let us know how these calls are going and what we might do differently or better to support you guys. We really do use the evaluation results in the planning, so please do take a minute to do them. All right, and Olivia, Oregon is going to go to PDSA support. Actually, no, Carrie, do you mind if you go to staff capacity? We just lost somebody else. Olivia, you can send us to breakouts and I will work with you.